Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. The church seems to be very tired of what is going on in the country, and they have decided that they are not going to sit back and watch this government mess the country, because as they put it, we only have one country and it belongs to all of us. There is no one who has got the monopoly of running a government. The clergy is becoming a thorn in the flesh to William Ruto. They are not giving him a breathing space. They are calling him to order. Barely a few hours after the fiery Bishop Wainaina, or Reverent Wainaina, lectured this government, lectured Ruto concerning the con game and the promises that he gave during the campaigns, and how he used the church platform to campaign and ascend to power. Then all of a sudden he reneges on all the promises, and he now divides the church with on one hand the M-Pesa bishops who depend on handouts to defend this government even when things are wrong, and the other hand the other clergy that have decided that they are not going to tolerate any kind of jokes around. And that video went viral. In fact, people were saying that maybe that bishop must be protected because his life could be in danger, but I know God is protecting him. Now, the Nyeri Bishop Anthony Muheria is at it again, and you all know that he is not new to controversy, because Anthony Muheria is one person who has also decided that he is not going to let the government mess up the flock, because the church is part and parcel of our community, part and parcel of the society, part and parcel of this country. Without the church, the society and the community is not complete. So I want to show you this video. And he was saying that this government is full of escapism and blame games. And he was giving an example that recently when we had rampant power outages, instead of the government confronting the challenges before them, they never get tired of resorting to blame games. They keep on reminding us of the previous regime 1 year down the line. You remember when Murkomen said he was attaching the power blackouts to some, faulty generators that were purchased during the Uhuru regime. And those comments were also maliciously corroborated by the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And Anthony Muheria was saying that this is wrong and it is very much unacceptable. And he was urging the government that it is high time people sit down, it is high time all the stakeholders are brought together to try and fix our economy without looking at who will take the political mileage. Kindly take a look.
Problems have come, but we in our country have been taken more about pointing fingers. We do not seem to see the problems to try and solve them. When the power cuts come, instead of looking for solutions, we are looking for culprits. Let us look for solutions. When we are specializing in pointing fingers and poking fingers to one another, we'll end up with all of us being blind. We'll never find a solution. It is not the politicians who own the solutions of this country. It is people who have been there, who have education in economics, in agriculture, in social, in cooperative, in the religious sectors. We sit and we see whether we can find a common solution. Solutions must be found by sitting together, by listening, by talking, by calling expert in government, out of government, in academia, in people who know and have some solutions. We must learn to sit and talk and listen to one another. Problems exist for all of us, but no one has a monopoly of solutions. Just like we don't have a monopoly of evil or monopoly of problems. We must share them by seeking a way of talking. This is what the Catholic bishops have insisted. We must own up and learn to own up when things go wrong.
As I indicated earlier, this reminds me of those days when people like Ndingi Mwana Anzeki could look at Moi in the face and tell him off. People like Njoya, you all know those days when the church was not giving William Ruto any space for mistakes. And I've always told you that even at the international level, people like Martin Luther King Jr. were at the forefront fighting for the emancipation of the Black Americans. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why this is becoming very interesting is because, one, we have a government that keeps on putting a brave face that everything is okay. And you know, it cannot be that you are the only person who feels and sees things are good when everyone around you thinks that that things are not in the right direction. It cannot be. You know, you cannot be one person, for example, in a society where you clash with everyone. Then it will be said that you have a problem and you need to check on your attitude. It is only the Kenya Kwanza government that feels that things are good. Every other person tells them that they need to retrace their steps. You've seen people like Okuru Okot. You have seen and heard people like Ahmed Nasir. You've heard people who used to praise this government are now coming out very openly and boldly, and they're telling the government, you need to look back and see where the rain started beating you. The other reason why this is very, very much important is the fact that when these kind of sentiments, or do I call them a revolution kind of, are begun by politicians, then it gives the government an undue advantage to comment and to act and even to injure people on the streets. You remember yesterday, Rigathi Gachagua was telling Simba Arati, the Kisii governor, that he was the one who ordered the removal or the recalling of the police, the security of Simba Arati. That is what happens when politicians lead such demonstrations, such, criticism. They will always go maliciously against those politicians to find out if there is any corruption case against them, to remove their security. Sometimes they are being kidnapped. But you see, and they even blame them, especially if it's coming from the position that they have not accepted that there is a government in place. Now, when it comes from the clergy, then you cannot attach it to any political mileage, because not unless you just want to do politics. I don't think Anthony Muheria is attached to any political affiliation. Neither is the Reverent Wainaina. And this is the reason why the church is doing a very good job. And they are not doing it because of politics. The truth is, Kenya is on a wrong footing because William Ruto has negated all the promises that he gave. He said he would not get into more debts. He has taken more debts in 1 year compared to his predecessor. And when you ask them, they have every justification, from the chief economic advisor, David D, to Kimani Chungwa, and sometimes they call people like Ndindi Nyoro to explain with some economic terms that are when you add them, they are tantamount to nothing. This is what I'm telling you, that this is going to be a thorn in the flesh. William Ruto is much worried, and if he's not, he should be worried because some of the clergy supported him. Now he has remained with a shell, those fake bishops who depend on him for money. You've seen money being carried in envelopes and taken to church. Those are the only men of God that he has remained with. And ladies and gentlemen, there is a revolution that will come. I know when I speak like this, people, you may not believe it. And I've always reminded you that before 2007, before 2007, people never believed that Kenya could plunge into an almost civil strife where communities rose against each other when they witnessed the kind of electoral bullying and malpractice and robbery that took place. Kenya is always sitting on a time bomb. And I've seen William Ruto say that when Kenyans went to the polls in last year, they voted against the tribes, that they went beyond tribes, and he's saying that he was voted across all the tribes. Well, that remains to be debatable. And he also says that Kenyans remained peaceful up to the time when power was handed over. That is very true, but there are a number of things that contributed to that. Now, if he's so lucky that he was handed over the sword, in a peaceful manner, he should not do things that will take people back to the street. I know he's got the sword, he's got the police, he's got the military, but it reaches a time when people decide that when I sit in the house, I will die. When I go to the street, I will die. And so it depends. Do I die sitting or I die trying? And I'm telling you that the latter will always be the answer. William Ruto must renegotiate his stand with the Western countries about the GMO, about the LGBTQ, about the dictates of the IMF and World Bank, about these high taxes, so that we can have a common ground. And I'm saying that he should renegotiate because I know he cannot abandon them. They are the people who aided his victory, and if he messes up, they will break him. There is that say, if I made you, I can break you. And William Ruto understands just too well that he was made by the US and the UK. They can break him, and that is why he has to stick to them. The only other thing he can do is to try and negotiate with them. Things are bad, and Muheria is saying that people need to sit down. There is no one who has got a monopoly of running a government. There are people who are learned economists who must be, people must come together so that their ideas can also be taken into account. The only problem with this government is that they feel that when they engage someone, then they will lose that political mileage. Once you have taken oath of office, you are called the father of the nation. And that office is a very special office. The office of the president is a unifying factor. When Ruto goes somewhere, he's being looked at as the president of Kenya and not the president of the UDA or the Kenya Kwanza. So he should ensure that if there are people who can help him run the government, just consultation is not bad. But I know this is not possible because the way he wants to run the government is the way the IMF wants it to be. We are being dictated. Is the way Joe Biden wants. Is the way Meg Whitman is dictating. Is the way the European Union wants it, and the way King Charles wants it. And that's why he cannot bring in more ideas. But I like the church, and we should continue on the same breath. The other M-Pesa bishops who collect money, wake up, stop burying your heads in the sand. I don't know what to think, but that is my take.